Obviously, sorry, my whole life growing up, it was just me and my brother. So I always wanted a little brother or a little sister. And just remembering that day and her actually being here, and I knew then, like, I'm a big sister and I get to protect her no matter what happens in her life. Like, I'm going to protect her from every and anything. I remember when we went home, like, I always wanted to hold her. I wanted to feed her. Like, when she was sleeping, I didn't want her to be asleep. I wanted to wake her up. She was such a funny kid, though. Like, she would make the weirdest faces, and like, it was like, I never seen my mom actually interact with a baby. And so to see her interact with a baby, like, it made me happy, because I'm like, is this how she interacted with me? Like, is this what being a mother is all about? Like, I'd never really been around babies, so it was new to me, but it was like a fun, exciting, happy new. I remember my mom had to tell me one day that my dad had gotten in a lot of trouble. I was in 5th grade, and we got a phone call. Well, she did. And I was at school, so of course when I come home and I got off the school bus, she had to tell me that my dad was going to go away, and he was going to go away for a long time. Being a 5th grader, I kind of understood, even though I didn't want to understand and I didn't want to know what was going on. Like, I knew. So I knew that she was meaning that my dad was going to jail. I wasn't happy about it, no, but being that age, I kind of knew that he was doing bad stuff, and eventually it was going to catch up with him. My dad had actually gotten on some drugs. I would imagine crack, because that's what he would do, and do crazy things. But he had done his drugs, and he decided that he was going to go to an older man's house that basically helped raise him, and just pretend that he was there for a visit. And it was a robbery gone bad, basically, because my dad tried to take this old man's wallet, and this old man fought him for it. And my dad, took the man's guns and everything else, but he beat him. My dad beat this man and left him for dead. The man was actually in the hospital for a long time. I have newspaper articles and everything based on that story. So they gave my dad 8 years. No bond, just straight 8 years. 8-year sentencing in prison. And you have 2 children and a wife still, because him and my mother were not divorced at the time. And we had just had a new baby, and so it was crazy. Like, it was not what I had expected. And then, of course, I'm wondering, well, where's my brother? Like, if my dad's in jail, then where's he at? Well, he was actually with my uncle, back and forth between my uncle and my granny. And my brother would get in a lot of trouble So eventually he had to move back down here with us. And I remember my mom and I and my brother and my little sister lived in an apartment in Dundas, over top of the Dundas store. And it was Christmas time. And so therefore my sister was 4 months old, I think. My mom's boyfriend lived there, on and off. But it was Christmas, and my mom told us that she was pregnant again. Now, at that time, like, I couldn't really, like, I was excited, like, yay, we're gonna have another baby. But we just had a baby, so I don't really know why we're having another one, but we're gonna have another one, so. But the thing of it was, my mom was very high risk. And she shouldn't have even had my sister, but she did. And so the doctors told her that it wasn't a good thing, that they didn't think that her body was strong enough to have another baby. But the further along that she got in her pregnancy, it wasn't just difficult on her body, and it wasn't, it was stress on the baby. Being high risk pregnancy is never easy. My sister's dad, he was a crazy man then. Not much has changed, but he was crazy. I remember my dad had wrote my mom a letter from prison, and he was telling my mom that he still loved her, and he knew that he had messed up, and that he was sorry for everything that he had done, and he wanted her to leave my sister's dad, and that he wanted to be her dad. And I really couldn't figure out how that was going to happen, because you're in jail for 8 years. So but anyways, my mom's boyfriend ended up finding a letter from my dad, and like flipped shit to the point to where he threatened my mother, myself, my brother, and this innocent 4-month-old little baby. I remember him in the kitchen area of the apartment with a knife, saying that he was going to slit my sister's throat. I don't know how any person in this world could let a man say that about their child and think it's okay, because it's definitely not okay. But one of my mom's sister's husbands actually came to the apartment and picked us up. And we left the apartment because we knew that it wasn't going to be any better, because there was a big argument. And there was an altercation, like words, I think, between my aunt's husband and my mom's boyfriend. But I think anybody he came across, my mom's boyfriend, that is, he always had to say something smart or have words with somebody for some reason. He was an asshole. He always has been, and that hasn't changed. But we ended up staying with my aunt for a little while, and we ended up moving out of the apartment because my mom decides that she wants to be with this man. So I guess her heart was there for some reason. But I'm trying not to be negative about the situation, but at the same time it's kind of hard not to be. So here we were, moving again. But before we moved from that house, I do remember that there was a pig, like a wild pig, like running around outside, like in this field, and we were all trying to catch it, and we had like strung up some wires, and we were chasing this little pig, and it finally like tripped over the wires, and it couldn't get back up, and I think it like ended up having a heart attack or something and dying. And I know that's a really crazy random thought to remember, but I remember it, and I remember the hay bales, and I'm sure a lot of my friends remember it too because you were there. I don't really remember which friends it was that was there when it happened, but you were there. And we all laughed about it, and we probably laughed so hard we pissed ourselves because of this damn pig. But anyways, we're moving again. We're moving. I think at that time we moved to 6th Street in Victoria, and we had neighbors, and the neighbor had a son and a daughter, and we actually became like really good friends. The daughter was my brother's age, and their son was, I think, like a year younger than me, and we would camp out in the backyard. We would play baseball and softball and football, and we'd go to the skating rink, and we would do bad things that we shouldn't have been doing. I remember one time we were camping out in the backyard, and it was quite a few of us. I'm not going to say any names because they know who they are if they're watching this. But we snuck out of the tents, and Victoria, Virginia actually has a swimming pool, and we decided that we were going to jump the fence of the pool, and we were going to get it, and we were going to swim. Well, the guys were scared, like they didn't want to do it, but me and this girl, we were just like, whatever, like we're just going to go. So we jumped the fence, and we jumped in the pool, and then we jumped out, we took off running. Weird, I know. But we had good times though, like we would always sneak out at night just to hang out with one another, and then we would just go back home and pretend nothing ever happened, that we were just innocent little children sleeping in our beds all night. But we were actually like 13, 14, and 15-year-olds running the streets, doing God knows what whenever we wanted. I think it was more of a just stay away from home as much as possible because things at home are not always great. So we would just do shit just to occupy ourselves so we wouldn't have to deal with what was going on behind closed doors at the house. I remember when we had to move from that house. My mom actually was getting ready to have my brother. She went to the doctor, and I was at school, but she had went to the doctor. My cousin actually had taken her to the doctor for her checkup, and there was no fluid in the sac that the baby was in, and so they couldn't find the baby. Like they could hear the heartbeat, but they couldn't find him. So they had to do an emergency C-section right then and there, and that was October 9th of 2002. That's when my brother was born. My brother was born with Down syndrome, And when my mom first brought him home, he looked like a little Chinese baby, I'm not gonna lie. Like, his little eyes were slanted, but he was so cute. Like, I'm not saying that I don't like Chinese people because I would be lying. But anyways, he was just the cutest little thing, and I know he didn't really look like us. But he was still my brother, and it didn't matter to me, like, what he had or what he looked like. Because he was family, like he was my brother, and that was never gonna change. I remember growing up in school, we would see the mentally challenged children, and we would see adults, with mental retardation problems on the streets and stuff, and we were mean. We would make fun of them. We would imitate things that they would do, and we would laugh at them. We would make jokes. And it was all fun and games. But it was wrong, obviously, and I know that now, because now, like, I have this baby brother that is going to have challenges throughout his life, and he didn't ask for it. I don't think anyone really asked for, mental health problems. But he was perfect. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what he had or what he looked like or how he acted. He was perfect. And nobody was going to tell me any different. I don't think I was as excited when he was born as I was when my sister was born, because it was just me and my brother for the longest time. So when she was born, it was different. Like, it was a whole different, like, connection. And then with my brother being born, it was like, I'm already used to having a baby in the house, so this is not going to be any, different. Not that I don't love them the same, because I definitely do. But I remember my mom had staples, like, all in her stomach. And it was nasty. Oh, God, it was so nasty looking. But I guess that's what happens when you have babies. So, we ended up moving again to Mecklenburg Avenue in Victoria. And a lot of crazy stuff happened at that house. I remember one time waking up to nothing but smoke. I mean, like, there was smoke everywhere, and we were being yelled at and saying to get out, and it's like 3-4 in the morning, and we had to leave our house and go stay with someone else. We had a wood stove, and I don't really know what had happened with the wood stove, but something happened, and the whole house was just full of smoke, and so we had to leave. I remember that I was in my room, and I had like a latch on the top of my door, and y'all are probably gonna laugh at this because it's kind of funny, but I had a latch on the top of my door in my room, and when I would go to sleep at night, I would latch that little latch so nobody could come in there and try and wake me up, especially over the summertime, because I like to sleep at least half the day away. And my brother's room was right next to mine. Well, I was asleep, and I woke up because I kept hearing this noise, and I'm like, what the hell is this noise, and why do I keep hearing it? So I was just laying there, and I was being like super still, and I just like felt something like on my blanket on my bed, and I just like slid the covers over top of my head, and I like put my arms on the side of the blanket, and I was like holding it down, and I started yelling, Jason! Jason! And I just kept yelling his name, and it was like, the motherfucker can't hear me. Like, what? He's like, the walls are really thin. I know he can hear me. Like, why is he not coming to my rescue? So after about 20 times hollering his name, he finally comes to the door and he tries to open it. He can't get in. And I'm like, there's something in here. It's on my bed. Like, you gotta come and get it. I don't know what it is. And I'm like freaking out. And he's like, I can't get in the goddamn door. So he finds something and he flips the little flip at the top of the door. And he opens the door and he cuts the light on. And he was like, don't move. And at that point, like, I just started crying even more. And I'm like, oh my God, what is it? Like, I'm under the covers, so obviously I don't know what the fuck is on me, but I know there's something on me. I can feel it. I can hear it. And he's just like, listen. He was like, just listen to me. He was like, keep the blanket on, and I want you to, like, get off of the bed, like, slowly, basically crawl to the door, and when you get to the door, like, shoot out from under the blanket. I'm going to close the door behind you. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is that going to do? Like, how am I supposed to pull this off? Because at this point, like, I was already freaked the fuck out because I did not know what the hell was going on. But I guess I was kind of just like, well, it's either take his advice or I'm left the fuck in here with whatever this thing is that is on me. So I'm getting off of the bed and I'm like moving slowly towards the door. And he's just like, run, 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 run. So, of course, at that time, I'm like, oh, my God. So I run out the room, and he closes the door behind me. And he's like, we got to go sleep downstairs. And I'm like, oh, my God, what was it? It was a bat. I don't know where this bat come from, but there was a bat in my room, and it was on my bed with me. And it was probably one of the scariest moments of my life, like one of the many. So we went downstairs and we were sleeping downstairs, and I don't even know how my mom and them didn't even hear us, because normally they hear everything because they're always yelling at us because we're stopping or being too loud. But I mean, they did have 2 babies, so I guess when the babies wear you out all day, you just kind of want to sleep at night. So the next morning when my little brother and sister got up and everything, my mom was kind of confused as to like why we were downstairs. I'm sorry. My dog was in there making noises. Kind of freaked me out because I didn't know what it was. But, she wanted to know why we were down there, so we're, like, explaining the whole story, and she's like, well, we gotta go up there and we gotta kill it. Well, we had a baby gate at the bottom of the steps. And, so my sister couldn't crawl up and down the steps. And, she walked over to the gate and she put her hands on the gate. And I walked over and the bat was hanging on the baby gate. Like, it was just hanging right there. And I think I scared the living shit out of her because I jerked her up so fast and was screaming and hollering and running. Like, she starts crying because she didn't know what was going on. And I think my brother ended up killing it with a baseball bat or something. But I was scared to, like, even go back in my room. Because I'm like, if there's one, where are the rest of them? Like, they're coming. I know they're coming. But, there was no more bats. Thank God for that one. I've been talking for 46 minutes, guys, and it doesn't even feel like it. And I haven't even gotten to, like, the good shit yet. But, don't worry, I won't make you wait as long as I did this time. I have a very busy, crazy life, so I gotta make time for my videos when I can. So, the next video, I'm going to, get a little more into some bad things. Sad things. So just make sure you stay tuned. If you've come this far in my videos with me, then you're not going to want to miss the rest, because I promise you it gets 10 times crazier. And you don't want to miss it. But continue to watch. And those of you who are just now seeing this, please subscribe to my page and don't miss not one video, because you're going to feel so lost. And until next time, thanks for watching.